So you want to talk about the wedding?
Only if you want to.
It's a deeply painful experience for me. It was a 5-day party for us.
Yeah.
I'm still exhausted, and people left a week ago. Not even a week ago. They left last Tuesday. So it was a long.
I can imagine. That wedding. So we're talking about your wedding.
This is it. This is it. This is the show.
Okay, we're talking about your wedding. That's it. I bullied you into talking about your wedding because you're such an intensely.
And just to head this off.
Yes,
exactly. To head this off, I never talk about personal stuff.
I know.
Like this.
I know.
I don't even update my Facebook status. Is he single or none of that? None of that. It's nobody's goddamn business. But so this is a big deal that I'm talking about. Well. My personal shenanigans.
It's it's on the public record now. There's been postings. People know
you've
things.
Made it public.
I guess maybe I did, but I waited. I waited the appropriate. There was a cooling off period, and then
was there a cooling off period? I had no idea. Oh my God! I could have gotten out of this.
Yeah. So for Ken and any of the other Kens out there, the half of this podcast got married recently, and to a lovely lady that we've known for quite some time, and it was a party, as you'd say in Canada. It was a freaking party. It was great.
Oh, it was awesome.
And the thing that I like, okay, so let me give you my history with weddings, aside from my own. Because most of the, you go through periods in your life where there's this onslaught, like people are getting married that and there's this, depending on what your social or religious upbringing or whatever it is, like that age group is going to shift one way or the other, and most of the weddings that I attended, there was sort of two phases. There was peers, friends and family, that were all child brides when I was getting married, because that's what we did. And then there was like this next phase of people you knew, but they were just that much younger than you. And I was so, for the vast majority of weddings, up until, maybe the last 10 years. So, because that's how old I am, I've been really sad. Like, I go to a wedding and I just go, oh, you guys, I know you and I know you and oh. I put on a happy face and I, smile and clap and, sing whatever song you're supposed to sing.
Well, if there's ever a time to be disappointed, it's at someone else's wedding.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it. I kept it in. Anyway, that's a long way to say that your wedding and the last maybe 2 or 3 that I've been to, which, because they don't come up that often at my age.
Yeah, it's more funerals now.
Exactly. Someone just died that I'm sure you're going to know. We'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, yours was phenomenal. Like I just go, here's a couple of adults that have gotten to know each other, and they want to do this. Not like no one's telling you, oh, it's time to get married or any of that crapola that we've all been subjected to greater or lesser degrees. Anyway, I had a blast. It was great. Wonderful company, and got to see Texas along the way.
Yeah, and you did everywhere. You did. Did you come? You got into Dallas.
We got into Dallas, kind of like really brief in Dallas. Stopped in Austin. Had a great time in Austin. Wedding, San Antonio. Saw the Alamo. Went straight to the basement. Pee Wee Herman.
Oh yeah. Okay. Right.
Excuse me. Can we go straight to the basement?
There ain't no basement in the Alamo. Oh, come on. And then he laughed. Everyone laughs and points. They bullied him. That crowd bullied poor Pee Wee Herman. Anyway, so we went to the Alamo.
It's a tragedy.
In Austin, it was great. We went to the Capitol. And
state capital.
Yeah, I went to the state capitol, and I was looking for what do I call him? Wheelie Abbott. Oh, that wasn't.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't nice at all.
I don't think he shows his face in the greater city of Austin. Austin is not. It's not really like the rest of Texas.
It's not.
It's very Portland, Vancouver, LA.
Yeah.
It's all of that stuff. And then as soon as you leave city limits, you're in Texas again, son.
Yeah, you're in Texas. Yeah. So that was lovely. And then we ended up for just a brief moment in Houston, because that's the way we went out. But we're gonna go back because I want to see more of it in not quite as rushed an atmosphere. So anyway,
well, there's a lot to see. It's a big place.
It's
a very big
huge, huge, and it was just great. Your extended family and all of that was wonderful. So
it was, for me, it was worlds colliding. There was the Edmonton contingent. There was several different Vancouver contingents. There was the LA contingent. There was the Trinidadians. Because of course, Lisa's family's from Trinidad. So you had all these different groups, the groups that I had never really saw in the same room at any point. And, there's always that George Costanza moment of like, worlds colliding. Yeah. You're going to kill independent George with the worlds. And so there was that sort of in my head. But there was zero drama. Zero. Everybody got along like gangbusters. It was. I have people now that are friends, actual friends with other people of different cities now, just because they all had some drinks in the house here and went to the. So you can't ask for better than that. It was fantastic.
It's sad to agree that you're happy because there was no drama, but there shouldn't be. Like really, there shouldn't be.
No. And also the whole notion, again, Nisa and I are of an age, so there's very little, in fact, there was no pressure. The day of the wedding, we're sitting in the hotel room, which is, it was like a block away from the venue.
Yep.
We're sitting there, it's the afternoon, I'm taking a nap, she's slowly getting ready, and we're just like, so you want some champagne or something? Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, okay. It was like no stress, no nothing. It was like, oh, I guess we should probably get down there, huh?
So now, wait, no, hold on. Hold the phone. You saw her before she walked into the event hall?
See, when you live together, and when you are already technically legally married, that all kind of loses its flair.
Oh, I did not know that. I did not know any of that. I didn't realize you were living together?
Yes, this wedding was a sham. We got legally married a year ago. So this was all just a joke on you, Corlett.
Well, fine. This is going to be the shortest episode ever. How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Dislike, unsubscribe, thumbs down.
Hey, this is as good a time as any to ask all of our erstwhile listeners and viewers, and however you're consuming this, please like, subscribe, smash the and the put the notification
the bells,
and tell your buttons. Friends, rate, review,
share. I think you have to share. That's a thing.
Send it to someone. Send it to someone.
Send it
Please.
to someone.
Just anyone. Send it to someone.
Yes.
Anyway. So anything nuptial related you wanted to share that was a fun, or are we done with the wedding topic?
I think that's it. It was great. It was drama free. It was fun. I have more booze in the house now, and I'm trying to get off the booze right now, but I've got more now. I have enough to feed an army. We totally overbought.
I could see that. And I was, I was driving around the next day. So when we went to your house, and like the party was, as you were saying, the party just never ends at Devall's. Like it's just ongoing. Anyway, I was the designated driver, and so I was looking at all that, going, "Oh, well, that's too bad. I can't
Well, hopefully some of it'll still be here when you come back.
Yeah, good. Well, for all of us, I don't know why, it's like us on my side. We all wish you the best. All of the viewers and listeners, congratulations, Mr. Trevor Devall.
Thanks.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Ken. Thanks, Ken.
Yes. We'll get together and throw you, send you a card or something.
Yeah. So, what have we done? How many episodes? 6? Is this the 7th?
I think so. 7 years of...
Have
7 episode itch.
Right. So, now that we're at the 7th episode,
yes,
maybe we should figure out what the show's about.
Oh, man, that would be great. I would love that.
Because I think we said at the beginning, we're not going to talk about voice stuff, and then we spent 6 episodes talking predominantly about voice stuff. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay.
It is
because
okay.
the fact is...
it's kind of what we know.
This is what we know.
Yeah.
It's what we know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a few other things.
I know a few other things,
too.
Actually, I want to save that for another episode, but I'm going to tease all the Kens out there. I want an episode devoted to you explaining to me the world of the board games that you love so much. Because there's something that our worlds do not collide or do not even meet.
Yes. And they're not even really board games. They're role-playing games.
Excuse me.
You
See,
don't
I've already
even
learned
know the nomenclature.
I have so much to learn.
You do. It was funny because at the last Monday night, of course, everybody was here at the house, and I built a fire in the fire pit in the backyard, as you do.
Yeah.
And all of the lads were out there, and my friend, who's a nuclear physicist, he said, so explain to me this whole role-playing thing. Because, of course, I've got the channel, Me, Myself, and Die. And,
yeah.
And so he wanted to know. And so we sat there, because all of the guys there all play. We sat there for like 2 hours explaining to him what this was. And he's all, his mind was blown. He had no idea. And I'm like, see, man? See? There's always something new to learn. So yes, I will definitely one day.
Yes, you can look forward to that episode. I don't know when it'll be, but it's not this one because we're well into it, and I think it deserves a whole thing.
Yes, it is
and
not
I'll be
this
ready.
day.
I'll put on my thinking cap, and I'll be ready to commence to learning.
Okay. Well, I got a lot to teach.
But I have you have go.
Yeah. No, I got nothing.
Okay,
go.
I do. Okay, so one of the hotels we stayed at, or were looking at. Anyway, it was a super hip hotel, and as part of the feature of the room, there was vinyl. And not some fetish. Just get that out of your head right now. Vinyl, like as in LPs. And I thought, yes, I recognize those. I have several hundred in my home. Yes, vinyl LP. And then, you sort of go along and you see the cool modeling in the room, looking at a vinyl record. And then, what are you going to do with that? Oh, well, there's a record player in the room. And then they show you how the room is adorned with a ultra hip vinyl playing record player. And it's one of those, suitcase things that you open and, it's all in one. And I just thought, okay, then I went down this rabbit hole. And it's not like I haven't noticed that people are getting back into vinyl. And I just went, there is such an irony to this because the whole point or their big argument is vinyl just sounds so warm and you really, those crispy MP3s and CDs, they don't produce music like vinyl. If you're listening to whatever you're listening to from a suitcase, all bets are off. Like, listen to that, honey. Have you heard Bowie on vinyl? Well, let me put it on the, the gramophone.
Have you heard it with the original record scratch?
Yeah.
Because that's the sound.
Or
that LP hiss.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just music to my ears, literally.
Now, I do remember really enjoying and getting into the minutia of what a high-fidelity stereophonic record player turntable, like getting the right cartridge and then the right stylus and then making sure your weights were just right so they weren't like boring grooves into your classic records that you enjoyed so much. So I'm not hacking on true audiophiles because yes, it is true. You sit down in a listening room with like amazing stuff. Vinyl's pretty damn. I was going to say dang. Fuck it. I'm going to say damn. Pretty damn good.
Look at you, Rebel.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And yet, the vast majority of people who are getting into vinyl, it's like, well, what are you playing it on? Oh my God.
Right.
Stop.
They get like, the Amazon little player.
The USB, and then you got to plug it into your Bluetooth.
Right.
What?
Right.
Stop it.
Yeah, no. I remember, because obviously I grew up with records as well, but I remember in high school, 1987, 88, maybe around there, and I remember I was sitting in the student union office because they had a big speaker system. And instead of going to class, we were hanging out listening to stuff. But I remember a friend of mine put on a CD, and this was like, ooh, what is this interesting technology?
Yeah.
This brand new thing. And I remember it was Sting. It was the Soul Cages by Sting. Was it the Soul Cages? No, what is it? Anyway, it was a Sting. Maybe it was Dream of the Blue Turtles. I can't remember what it was, but it was some Sting album. It was. I think it was the Soul Cages because the big deal about this particular album was it was recorded in like quadraphonic sound or something that you could only do on CD. And I remember they put it in and they pressed play on this thing, and it's the first time I'd ever heard a CD, and it was like, where are the record scratches?
Yeah.
Where's the deeply unnerving constant background hiss?
Yeah.
Well, where is any of this stuff? And it was just gone, and I just thought, this is amazing to me. And now we're back to where we started. For some reason, this retro nonsense that people are obsessed with. Don't you understand, people? Records were substandard. Substandard.
Yeah, unless they were perfect. If,
Yeah, and how many of those?
Exactly, that's my point. That's like the audiophile stuff where, there's the guy cleans it every single time. Like I had 1 foot in that. I was that kind of guy. I never did fingertips touch the surface. No. It was always spinning and into the sleeves and all of that stuff.
I remember they drilled that into my head too. You could only ever hold the record by the edges.
Yeah.
You just had to be very careful when you put it on there. Otherwise, you put that smudge on there. Oh, that's it.
That's right. It doesn't sound no good no more. So
yeah,
so speaking of school and records, in Vancouver in the old days, I'm sure you know this place too because it existed for quite some time, a place called A&B Sound. And
of course.
It was like the record store in Vancouver. I was, living in Burnaby, but we were downtown kids. Let's go there. So there was no mall record buying for me. So to pull out some numbers, like in the mall, a record could cost between $8 and $15 back then. Mm-hmm. And A&B Sound would be selling like the super popular ones for $2.99. So, right. and then there was this hybrid period where I think it was Sam the Record Man came into Vancouver after they had conquered Toronto, and they would allow. I think it was that store. They would allow you to try, to listen to the record before purchasing the record. Because
I think I remember that.
Before that, it was like, do you want to buy the record? Which is very much like now, except you can hear it anywhere you want. So, so it was complicated because I was a bit of a music nerd, and I'd read liner notes and what musicians played on this, and is there a connection to someone else, and maybe they worked with someone else, and maybe I'd like what they did over there, and it was that kind of music nerd. That was what I was. I embraced it. But what I would end up doing is I was not really a big AM radio or pop radio guy, but I thought, well, I've got to know what's going on, and you'd buy the latest whatever bubblegum crap that there was. And I remember specifically this one record, but I did it to many records, where I would go and buy like the Bay City Rollers, because everyone's listening, and the girls liked it. So I better be up on this, because how am I going to have a conversation with a young lady if I'm going buh, which I kind of was saying buh, but.
Sidebar. I had a Bay City Rollers sticker on my closet the whole time growing up. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it was love-hate, because I kind of went, well, at least they're out there doing something, and they played their own instruments, as far as I could tell.
Yes,
so,
that's true.
What I would do is I would commute to A&B Sound, and I would buy several records, and over the course of a month, I might have 6 that I'm done with, because I would record the stuff I wanted onto a cassette tape.
Oh, thief or something.
I guess. And the rest of it's I'm not interested, so I recorded this stuff, and then I would take the other records back to school, and I could sell them at a deep discount from, the mall store that everyone else, they were just too, don't go downtown, that's got to take a bus all the way down there, and who knows, you could get killed downtown, right? You take your life in your hands. So they would go to the mall, Simpson Sears up, and then there was Brentwood Mall. Anyway, it doesn't matter what the malls were. But I never bought anything from those gougers in the mall record shops. So I would take them back to school. And it was like I was a pusher, or like a drug seller. So I go, hey, you interested in the Bay City Rollers record? And
the first one's free.
Exactly. And I'd bring them over to the locker, and I'd lead with the Bay City Rollers, and then they'd see that there was like a whole bunch of other records in there. Oh, are you interested in anything else? And then I would show my pop wares, and it was a little profit center.
Yeah.
How's that?
Well, that's good. That's good. That's good. I don't know what to respond with. I didn't have a criminal enterprise like you.
Oh, criminal.
I
paid for the music that I wanted to hear.
Yeah, that's true. I remember though something about if you taped onto a cassette the music from a record that was somehow copyright infringing.
Probably.
I seem to remember nobody cared back then.
I thought, who's gonna come and find it?
Right.
In my
it's
terrible
not like
cassette
now
player,
where you can torrent and download, and that is literally pirating something. That's just yoinking it, yoink out of the internet and onto your computer. So that is, at least you did legitimately pay for the thing.
Well, and then there's Spotify, which basically, I just watched a little thing on that because it came out of Napster. Not that it was connected to Napster necessarily, but like all of those pirate sites that were extremely popular. Like they were really rocking. I forget what year that would have been, but early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s. Anyway, this was a response to that, and the guy, I'm pretty sure it's based in Holland, in Amsterdam, came up with this.
Spotify.
Yeah,
Spotify.
Let's put the Spotify.
Spotify.
I don't know why. I don't know what that name even means. Spot. I mean, it's
Spot.
There's no spots on a. I don't know.
No, it's who knows.
I don't know. Anyway, he came up with this plan and made a deal with the Devall, which kind of, I guess it had to be made because otherwise, like record companies they were dying. I mean, they're still not doing great, but he basically came up with a plan that appealed to the record company and got them on board. And the artist was very, very low down the totem pole. And you see it now with many, many artists going, this is like just a losing enterprise. Because, that's where I get all my music now. I pay my $15 a month or something, and I know that
I don't
everything
understand
I want.
the business model from the artist perspective, from the singer, the band. I don't. How are they making any money? And of course, I guess they're not. I guess the only way they make money is on tours and when they sell their merchandise and stuff. Because they're clearly not making any money on Spotify. No. So how do they? I don't get it. I don't
there's this wild equation from another article that I just read about, like, Taylor Swift is massively popular and actually is making all the money, but it's this weird balance of when someone's doing that, it squishes the other ones down even further, because it's not a strict per play thing that you get paid. It's based on a whole. And apparently, like so many things in tech, it changes literally week by week. Their calculation of how and who gets what, and it's like
the mighty algorithm.
It's a what do they call that? A crap.
A scam?
A scam, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, Music Talk with Trevor. That's going to be a spin-off podcast, because this one is so wildly popular. We're just going to go into music because we're such experts.
I don't think we've got any new subscribers in the past 2 weeks. I think.
Oh no.
I think that's it. We've hit our ceiling.
Have we
of 59
plateaued?
Ken, that's it. I think we can't really do better than this. I think it's probably better to leave on this high note.
There's my Texas flu.
Leave them wanting more.
Yeah. What else is on the agenda? Talked about Texas. Talked about vinyl.
I can't talk about work stuff, and neither can you.
No.
Because we're not allowed.
We're not allowed. But I'll say this.
I don't know.
I'll say this. Video games take a long time to come out.
Oh, yes. We're years.
Yeah. Because I've been working on some pretty big ones, and it's like, what? Is that not out yet? Like, seriously?
Yeah.
Guys. So, sorry, Ken.
It's a big process. One of my first big jobs, actually, one of my first big jobs was on a giant video game for Sega called Sega Soccer Slam.
Oh.
And it was a 3-on-3 kind of violent, super-powered soccer game with all of the characters were all these stereotypes from all over the world, and I played like 15 different guys. It was super fun. But that was my first foray into the video game world. And then, years go by and games get more sophisticated and stuff. But I did one called Gears of War, which is kind of big. And we had done a ton. We had done motion capture and performance capture and all this stuff. So you're playing the scene like an actor on a TV show, which was terrible because you had to memorize lines. And well, who gets into voiceover to memorize lines?
Exactly.
But it was a great experience, super fun. But it was also recorded over the course of like a year and a half. And then I think it took another year and a half before it was even announced. It was a huge, gigantic process. And I wonder, because I know a lot of video game producers, with that lag of like 2 to 3 years between the time that you get the idea and it's released, in this day and age, the technology has advanced so quickly in 2 years that how can your game not be obsolete by the time it hits the shelf? It's a weird, it's a weird thing.
I guess it's relative to everything else, because if everything else is being developed 2 years prior, it's all boats rise with the tide kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm thinking about things like this AI stuff, like this chat GPT and this the AI animations and stuff, because that came about. I mean, it's obviously been in development for a long time, but it hit the shelves, so to speak, and now it seems like overnight, everybody and their dog is the chatting and the GPTing and the AIing and the Skynet and all that stuff. So,
well, that is something we should talk about because, of course, you do commercials. I do commercials. We in voiceover, and I've noticed, when you're in the industry, you notice bad commercials, especially.
Oh yeah,
and just go, oh man, okay, I guess that was a non-union job. And God bless the guy who did it and booked it and got paid for it. Great, but you can really tell. It's like you see a professional hockey game and then you watch a game of shinny and you go, oh, there is a quality difference here. It's tangible.
Or all of those commercials that were produced during the pandemic, and you could hear that all of these actors were clearly recording in their bathrooms, and nobody seemed to care.
Yeah,
madness.
I know, and that's another sad reality because I remember. Roger Monk, huge studio tour, I was going to say raconteur and add studio to it, but anyway, the
studio tour,
studio maven, and he would rail about the minutia of a room and a recording environment and a recording technique. He won an Oscar for Full Metal Jacket, I believe, like audio mix or something like that. So the guy knew what he was talking about. But and in the early days, I was still selling gear, and I will not make this claim now because my ears are shot. But there was a time where I really paid attention, and I went, yeah, okay, I'm from one microphone to another, like all that really fine stuff. And I always kind of went, I don't know. Like, is Joe Blow at home going to notice that? Which is kind of works against my own interests in this particular case, because I think it does matter. Like when Joe Blow isn't necessarily going to go, oh, hang on. That was recorded with a 416. They should never have used a 416 for that. He's not going to say that, but he might go, I don't know. I'm not sure if I just don't like it.
Right.
That's
People
real.
are very media savvy in our society, and they can't explain why something doesn't work. They just know that it doesn't. It's just like with a badly written script, which, let's face it, is about 95% of the scripts in Hollywood these days.
Correct.
People who don't know anything about the entertainment industry can watch the show and go, yeah, this sucks. But they can't tell you why it sucks. They can't say it's because, well, there's no hook in the first act. There's no, second act midpoint. There's no character development. They can't talk about that. They can't talk about structure. They can't talk about all that stuff. But they just know that it sucks, and they're not going to watch it again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same.
And as Roger used to say, quoting him, it's a race to the bottom. When you start, kind of cutting corners and making it cheaper and saying, you know what, let's make it better. Okay, so that's the reason I wanted to talk about this AI stuff. Is I watch a lot of YouTube for all sorts of things, just like research if you're going to take a trip or whatever. Hey, YouTube is great. You're going to install your own air conditioner. Let's look that up. I love it. But you can tell, like, almost immediately which ones are using the robot voices. And I mean,
instantly.
There's the obvious ones, that TikTok lady who just always sounds like this, and you go, But there's some really good ones, and you probably pick it up right away. I know I do. And you go, oh my goodness, like there's a guy with a slight Indian accent. And then you realize, oh, that's a robot, because the pronunciation was just, it didn't recognize a word. It completely blew it. So that form is all also AI. Like I went to a website once that said, use our robots for your narration, basically, your audio books or whatever. And they've got this array, a dozen different voices, different accents, genders, old, young, all of that stuff. And they're very good. And I think sort of like, well, there goes the bottom end of that market. Like the people that were just trying to break into voiceover. There was a what's it called? Voices.com and Voice 123. All that really, really quick and dirty, cheap race to the bottom stuff.
Right.
I think that stuff's going to go away because of this. Maybe I'm just dreaming, but I don't think it's really going to affect like real actors like you and I. Real actors.
I agree with you, but just because, we're still in Uncanny Valley territory with this AI stuff. And I'm talking specifically about the voiceover stuff. There's nuances in the human experience that a computer just can't replicate yet.
Yeah.
One day we'll be on the deck with Mr. Data, but I think in the sort of immediate future, you're always going to be able to tell. It's just like if you look at, if we were talking about video games before. So if you look at video games and the animations have gotten so good, but the one thing they still can't get right is the eyes. Because the eyes, of course, are the window to the soul. And if the soul is just a series of ones and zeros, that really doesn't help you out. And that's been years now that they've been dealing with the Uncanny Valley. And yes, certain games have got very, very close, but it's not the real thing. Even the best possible video game graphics technology I've seen, it's still Uncanny Valley with the eyes. So I think that's going to be the case with voice performance with sort of high-end stuff, is that you're always going to need a human actor to get that little subtle thing that a computer just can't grasp. It will eventually. Yeah. And then it's it's Thunderdome at that point. But
that, I think, bolsters my my theory, which will be for the stuff that doesn't matter, for the producers who just go, we want to get this out and get that anime. What's the one we're working on right now? Okay, well, plug all those lines into the computer and get Sammy the bot to read it. Because, that is much more, fit the line here. Yeah. And for people who do act, that's one of the challenges of anime. Like it's a different skill set because you've got to force some emotion and acting into these weird little bits of time, and it makes you speak differently than you probably would. But a robot would go, yay, perfect, I can do that. Meet and Bob's your uncle. So I think my theory is, check back with me in 5 years, that the really good projects and the ones that matter and the ones that are funny will be still the cream. That'll be it. But the rest of it might go the way of
In a way, there is an analogy to be made.
Ooh.
Between this and celebrity voiceover casting. Wherein, and I've had this conversation with multiple producers in Los Angeles, that they, as a group, or typically, not always, but I've heard it so many times, I'm comfortable saying, as a group, the animation producers there, regardless of the level that we're playing at, sort of universally detest having to work with celebrities, because the majority of celebrity casting in animation is based on popularity, it's based on whatever. It has nothing to do with them as a voice performer. Now, there are obviously certain celebrities that are very good, but those are the exception to the rule. So many directors and producers have said to me, this celebrity casting thing, it's a fad. that ultimately, when we want the real thing, we got to go to you guys.
Yeah.
We got to go to the boots on the ground animation guys in the trenches.
Now, are we just convincing ourselves of that? Or is this...
Maybe. It is possible. But I've actually heard this.
Yeah, I know.
I've actually heard this multiple times from various people who very, very successful people who I have a lot of respect for. And they've all said, celebrity casting is never going to go away. It's always been with us. It always will be us. Will be us. But at the end of the day, they want the real thing to do the real job. And so when crunch time comes, they know they can rely on us to get the job done efficiently,
Yes.
Whereas with a celebrity, they never know. And I think it's the same thing with this AI thing. I think it's gonna be ooh, isn't this cool for a while? And then people are gonna realize, you know what? The uncanny valley is still there, and I think we need the real thing for this.
Right.
But I've been wrong on so many things.
Well, of course. But that also says that, I guess it's a universal truth that you must continue to hone and develop and I usually hate saying the word craft. I really do.
Oh, yeah. It sucks.
But
yeah, so pretentious.
You got to get better. You give them something more, plus it.
Yeah.
And a computer's not going to plus it for you. It's going to do exactly what you want. Exactly what you want.
And especially in anything that's supposed to be funny.
Yes. So
computer will not understand timing. It will not understand irony. It will not understand sarcasm. It won't understand any of that stuff.
I know people like that.
Yeah.
They just, huh? You have to give them big
cues. You said earlier that somebody...
I just said a joke.
Yes. You said earlier somebody died who we know.
Oh, yes. One of the founding fathers of the Vancouver commercial production audio industry. I know you know the company GGRP, Griffiths, Gibson, Ramsey Production. Well, Miles Ramsey passed away a couple of years ago. And their sales guy was Teddy Bear Bishop, who everyone in Vancouver did an impersonation. Yeah, he's a big, hefty Australian. And GGRP had this fallout. Basically, it was a recession or something. They just went, and they let him go. And Ted went off to start Teddy Bear Productions. And he was like the quintessential sales guy. Like you went into his office and like there was schmooze pictures of everyone, right? Like, cause he used to relish going on road trips to big ad agencies in LA and hanging out in Beverly Hills and, pictures with Desi Arnaz Jr. at some award show, stuff like that. And Ted was just one of these guys who he wasn't really known as like, part of the music part of GGRP or the writing part necessarily. He was like the sales guy. And then when he went off, like I don't really know what the circumstances were, but I knew the company was restructuring, and it's like, thanks, Ted, see you later. And he went, well, I'm going to go do my own thing. And he did. And against all odds, he became a force in competition. And he did all the Best Buy ads. He secured that account, of which I'm very thankful because I did them for years with them. And he just recently passed. He didn't make it to 80. So I don't know how much you like. If you weren't really in the. This is another thing about Ted. Ted was a real kind of family guy, and I mean that like in a business sense. Like he would, if you got in, it was you were really in. And he was like that with clients too, which I think cuts both ways, because some clients go, I don't want to be in. Thank you very much. And
Right.
they kind of, push him away because he's old. He was old school. Like he was the kind of guy that would want to, I don't know if he golfed, but like it was lunches, dinners, drinks. Let's go and, press the flesh, that era.
He was the Mad Men of Vancouver commercials.
He was totally that. He's like a big fluffy Australian Don Draper. But he didn't run an ad agency, but he ran a production company, and he just passed away. And as you said, like you go through these periods in your life where it's like it's weddings, and then it's like, oh yeah, people are dying that I really worked with, like I really knew these people. So and then you start going, I better phone X, Y, Z, and like catch up because you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Have you phoned your mother this week?
She's coming to stay with me next week.
She's coming back?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's video.
staying-
There's. Are you aware? There's video. Okay.
She's staying with my sister in Houston right now. She came in for the wedding. She's staying with sister, and then
okay. So
she's
she
coming
hasn't
on the weekend. Actually,
She
hasn't
hasn't
gone back
left
to
the country.
Canada yet.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay, now I know you've told me about your siblings. I didn't realize your sister lived in Houston. Did I just forget, or is this just a Trevor?
It might have not come up. I don't talk about personal stuff.
Personal stuff. Yeah, I got this sister. She lives just over there, but and we're both from Canada. Yeah, but yeah, never mind.
It's not a big deal.
You just got
She's
Devalled.
been here longer. She's been longer here than I've been in the States. She's been here for 12 years, I think. She got to the States 2 years before I did. She went to Texas first. Well, she only Texas. I, of course, went to LA.
Yes.
Yeah, she hates
What was her
it.
motivation for moving from Canada?
Husband got a job with the big oil something or other.
Yep.
And so she was a nurse, and so she got down here and couldn't be a nurse because Texas didn't recognize Canadian education. So she decided, to hell with it, I'm going to get my nurse practitioner license here in Texas. So she did and went through that for years, and then realized that basically she could be making more money working at Starbucks. Because the structure of how things works with nurse practitioners here in Texas, it's like a giant pyramid scheme. You got to give 50% up to the. You got to give your boss a little taste.
A little taste. I just want to wet my beak. Okay.
Yeah, exactly, a little bit, just to ensure that you're going to have a positive working experience here in the state. You know what I mean? So there's that. But as it turns out, when I moved to San Antonio, and she came to see where I lived, she realized, I don't hate Texas. I hate Houston because I love San Antonio. And I
Interesting.
said, yeah, that's good. It's good. It's good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. She's wanting to get out, but they're talking Colorado. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
But yes. Anyway, so my mother's with her right now, and then my mother, who's going to be 90 years old this year.
She was. I made sure that I went and introduced myself at the wedding, and she was sitting at the table, and I think I said words to the effect of, "So you're responsible for this?" And I pointed to you, and she got it immediately, and she went, "I think I am. You can blame me." So.
Yes, she does love to denigrate her youngest in a quasi-comedic fashion to the delight of all surrounding people. Yes, I'm sure you did.
I enjoyed it. My mother was just the opposite. She she elevated her youngest, which is me, but she did say, in fairness, she said this about all her boys, her three boys. This one, she would introduce me. This is my youngest, or whoever she was introducing. This is my favorite son, and she would be equally We were all
Right.
her favorites, of course.
Oh, how lovely to have a mother who pays you a compliment once in a while. I don't know what that is.
I'll tell you this: for anyone curious at all about my mother's dearly departed, but because I'm sure people watching and listening to this podcast, I would love to know more about Ian's mother.
Of course.
If you dig
we might
up
as
a
well
movie,
just call it Ian's Mother's Podcast.
if you look up an Albert Brooks movie entitled Mother, that is essentially Debbie Reynolds played the part of his mother, and that is essentially that was my mom.
Okay. Well, conversely, if you look up a little movie called Mommy Dearest, you'll see that is a... No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you got the deep Texas cough out of me. Well, now that we've done as much damage to our mothers and families as possible, I think maybe that's it.
I think that's it for now. Like, subscribe, share, rate us 5 stars, review.
Tell your friend. Write down the web address on a postcard and send it to someone you love.
Yeah. Yes. And soon advertisers will come, and we'll have to spend a lot of time talking about products that we don't use. And that will be fun.
I would love
That'll be
that.
fun.
I've basically done that my whole life. So
yes. We'll
I'm
be
up
talking
for
about
that.
how we're sitting in the X chair. And my goodness, the X chair is so comfortable.
Yeah.
Of course, we're not talking about the X chair now because neither of us are in X chairs.
No.
And why would we be?
I don't know.
If they're not sponsoring us.
Not yet.
So, to hell with you, X chair. If you're not sponsoring us, we're not talking to you.
But not to hell with you, Ken. We love you.
We do love all 6 of you, for sure. Perhaps one day you will add to the ranks of the Kens out there. Okay, goodbye.
Bye.